right, everybody, welcome back. Get ready to dig in, because today we are going deep on something I'll bet you never thought we'd cover on the show.
Haha, yeah,
Yeah,
excavators.
excavators. And more specifically, something called the Symmetrical Quick Coupler, or as more commonly known, the S standard.
And you might be thinking, who cares? But I'm telling you, you're in for a treat.
Well,
This little piece of engineering has had an impact way bigger than you might think.
it really has. You know how sometimes the simplest ideas can be the most revolutionary? Well, that's the S standard in a nutshell. But before we get too far ahead, let's back up a bit for the uninitiated.
Yeah, for sure. Not everyone's walking around with an excavator encyclopedia in their back pocket.
Exactly. So imagine this. You're on a construction site, right?
Yeah.
And your excavator needs to, let's say, switch from digging a hole to demolishing a concrete slab.
Yeah, which, not exactly a quick process, right?
Not in the old days, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Back then, if you wanted to switch those heavy attachments,
Hmm.
things like buckets, hammers, grapples, oh man, you were looking at hours of downtime, sometimes even a whole day.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Talk about a productivity killer. Not just time, but think about the cost of all that wasted labor.
I'm sure. So enter the quick coupler. And I think we've all used something similar, right? It's basically an adapter. It lets you quickly swap out different attachments, in this case on an excavator.
Right, like think of those drill bits you can quickly change out. Same basic concept, but on a much, much larger scale.
Exactly. But it sounds like this whole quick coupler thing, it wasn't always so simple. Am I right?
Oh, not even close. See, quick couplers themselves have been around since, like, the 70s, but for a long time it was like the Wild West out there. Every single manufacturer, they had their own design, their own way of doing things.
Ah, so no standardization, I'm guessing.
None whatsoever. Imagine the headache, right? You spend all this money on a brand new hydraulic hammer, you get it to the site, and then boom, doesn't fit. Turns out your excavator's quick coupler is a completely different design.
Oh, that's brutal. Talk about a budget nightmare. And I'm guessing this probably wasn't great for safety either. I mean, parts that don't quite fit together on heavy machinery doesn't seem like a recipe for a good time.
Yeah, you're singing my tune. This whole mismatch of parts, it was a safety nightmare waiting to happen. You constantly had attachments coming loose, accidents just waiting to happen. It was a recipe for disaster on the construction site.
So it sounds like the construction industry was in desperate need of a hero. Someone had to step in and bring some order to all this chaos.
And that's where the S standard comes in, right?
It is. It's like the superhero of excavator attachments.
Uh-huh. I like that. But yeah, around the year 2000, you had this group in Sweden. They see what's going on and basically say, enough is enough.
So they just decided to fix it. That's kind of awesome.
It really is. They sat down and they hammered out a universal standard for quick couplers, the S standard.
So instead of every company doing their own thing, they now had like a common set of blueprints to follow.
Exactly. Dimensions, locking mechanisms, everything. And just like that, you could buy a hydraulic hammer from one company and know for sure it would fit on an excavator from another company as long as they both used the S standard.
That's got to be a game changer for the industry.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So was it just about saving time and money? Or were there other benefits that came with standardization?
Oh, it goes way deeper than just cost savings. Remember all those safety issues we talked about? Attachments coming loose, accidents waiting to happen?
Yeah, not exactly a walk in the park.
Well, with the S standard, you've got a much more secure connection between the excavator and the attachment. And a secure connection means fewer accidents.
Right. Makes those jobs a lot safer for everyone on the site.
Exactly. And on top of the safety benefits, the S standard really boosted efficiency. Think about it. Instead of spending hours switching attachments, you can now do it in minutes.
Wow. So what used to be a whole day's work could now be finished, what, like before lunch?
Pretty much. Projects get done on time, everyone's happy.
And if I'm remembering right, you said the benefits went beyond the construction site too, right?
Absolutely. Faster construction means less disruption for residents, less traffic, all that good stuff.
It's amazing how something so seemingly small can have such a massive ripple effect, right?
It's true. And it gets even more interesting. Remember how we were talking about the Wild West of quick couplers?
Yeah, every company for themselves.
Well, two of the big players in the game, Rototilt and Steelwrist, they decided to team up.
Oh, yeah. The Open S initiative, right. I was curious about that. What's the story there?
Well, they basically said, hey, we believe in this open standard thing so much that we're making the S standard freely available to everyone.
Really? They just gave it away?
They did. They published all the technical specs, no strings attached.
That's pretty rare, isn't it? Most companies would hold on to that kind of information for dear life.
Oh, for sure. But they saw the bigger picture, you know. They realized that for a standard to be truly successful, it needs everyone on board.
So instead of competing with each other, they decided to collaborate and make the whole industry better.
Exactly. It's a win-win situation for everyone involved.
It's like that old saying, a rising tide lifts all boats.
100%. And the proof is in the pudding. If you look at the companies that have joined the OpenS initiative, it's incredible. You've got big names like Daton Engineering from Korea, Craig Manufacturing, all the way from Canada, plus a ton of smaller companies from all over the world.
It's a real global effort.
It really is. And it shows just how powerful a good idea can be.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how standardization, instead of stifling innovation, can actually encourage it. It's kind of wild to think about, isn't it? This one little thing, this S standard, it's had such a massive impact on, well, on everything.
It really has. And you know, it's easy to get caught up in all the technical details, all the nuts and bolts.
Right.
But we can't forget about the human side of things. At the end of the day, behind every excavator, there are people.
Absolutely. There are people driving those machines, people whose livelihoods depend on them.
Yeah, and for those folks, the S standard isn't just some abstract idea, you know? It's making a real difference in their day-to-day lives.
It's making their jobs safer, more efficient, probably less stressful, too. I can't imagine dealing with a busted quick coupler in the middle of a job.
No kidding. It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Just not going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's not just about the folks on the ground, right? This whole thing, it has these ripple effects that go way beyond the construction site.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. Roads, bridges, hospitals, schools, all that stuff relies on excavators.
So the faster those projects are finished, the sooner everyone benefits.
100%. Less
That's
traffic, better infrastructure, you name it.
And if I'm remembering right, you said there were even environmental benefits too, right?
Yeah.
Something about fuel efficiency.
That's right. More efficient excavators mean less fuel burned, which means a smaller carbon footprint for the whole industry. It's a win-win all around.
Amazing. Who knew a simple coupler could have such a huge impact? It really makes you wonder what other innovations are out there just waiting to be discovered. What other problems can we solve if we just took a step back and thought outside the box?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? There's a whole world of possibilities out there.
That's right. And that's what we're all about on this show, exploring those possibilities. So next time you see an excavator, take a second look. You might just be witnessing a quiet revolution in action.
Hear, hear.
And that's all the time we have for today. Until next time, keep your minds curious and keep digging deeper.